President Donald Trump taking questions from reporters there in the Oval Office following his announcement on investing $700 million to the coal industry. He talked about a lot of major issues, but I want to focus here on coal. Let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, there are 3 points to President Trump's announcement on coal. Can you walk us through them?
Well, really, the big announcement today was that the president was going to be using wartime powers, the Defense Production Act, to increase the amount of coal that is mined and cleaned here in the United States. He's using the Defense Production Act, which is really a Cold War era statute, which helps the U.S. in times of need, particularly now as we're dealing with somewhat of an energy crisis because of the war in Iran. So essentially, the president is doing what he's calling bolstering clean, beautiful coal. That's something that the president has been saying numerous times, and it impacts a handful of states, including West Virginia, Maryland, Alaska, some of these places where we have seen these plants close previously. So that was the focus of the president today and this executive order that he signed. This is something he also promised to do when he was running on the campaign trail for president. So unsurprising that he would do it, but notable given the fact of the energy crisis really hanging over the United States right now.
Olivia, thank you so much. All right, I want to bring in Mike O'Boyle, the Senior Director of Strategy and Policy for Energy Innovation. Mike, thank you so much for being with us. We know that coal accounts for about 1/5 of the U.S. electricity generation. How important, though, is the coal industry to the global economy in 2026?
Well, the global economy is still highly reliant on coal, but that trend is shifting pretty quickly, particularly in high growth markets like India and China, and in part in reaction to the war that was just discussed. I mean, requests from all nations for solar, wind, and other alternatives are at an all-time high because countries really want to get off of global oil and gas.
Because there are issues surrounding coal, one being the big one, or a bigger one would be the health concerns for not only the people who work in these plants, but also the communities next to them. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, that's right. Coal emits NOx and sulfur dioxide and fine particulate matter that harms people's health. It causes asthma. It also releases mercury into the atmosphere, and recent federal policy has walked back many of the regulations that are meant to reduce those public harm health impacts.
Now, because he is categorizing this under the Defense Production Act, would that enable the Trump administration to bypass some of these health and environmental regulations from these different states?
Yeah, whether or not that invocation bypasses some of those regulations is not clear. And honestly, the amount that's being contemplated to invest in coal plants is not really significant enough to overcome coal's economic disadvantage. Alternatives to coal like wind, solar, batteries, and increasingly geothermal and existing natural gas, these are more economic options. That's why coal has been on a secular decline in the United States for the last 2 decades. And largely, I think this is an attempt to reverse that trend. But, the economics are what they are. And if markets can work, we're going to see other technologies continue to grow.
Because there is an argument there that we do need more power. I mean, we're located here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have surging electricity demand. Could this help with grid reliability, do you think? And the White House says this will support and create over 14,000 jobs. Could this be good for job creation as well?
Well, any investment in new energy technology is going to require construction. It's going to require new jobs to make that equipment operate. The same could be said of any new energy source. But really, the problem in this country is not that we don't have enough coal or baseload generation. It's that the grid capacity is constrained, and where we really need federal leadership is to improve and modernize our electricity grid so that there can be like a robust competition between all energy sources to meet that demand. Right now, it's just too slow to build, permit, and then connect new generation sources to the grid. And what we need is a grid for growth. We need to have a grid that accommodates all kinds of new technologies and not just put the thumb on the scale for coal.
Michael Boyle, thank you so much. Great to see you.